Hi, and welcome. My name is Danny Washington from the Big Blue and You.
And my name is Sean Russell from the Youth Ocean Conservation Summit.
And we're proud to bring you our 4th annual live broadcast for World Oceans Day week, World Oceans Month, all of it in one day. And we got an exciting broadcast for you.
So this is all part of our Sea Youth Rise Up program, which we created 4 years ago with the Ocean Project, the Big Blue and You, and the Youth Ocean Conservation Summit to bring together an amazing group of young ocean champions from across the country and give them a platform to share their voice, share their passions for changing our world and improving the health of our blue planet. We've brought the DC for several years, and we're thrilled to have the group back here this week to celebrate our ocean and share the fantastic work they're doing to protect our planet. We look around the world, we see that young people make up over half the world's population. And so if we're serious about addressing the challenges facing our marine ecosystems, we can't just write off young people as leaders of the future, and we need them engaged right now to take action to protect our planet. And that's what this is all about.
Yes. So we want to say thank you first to our partners and sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to say a huge shout out to the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, the Curtis and Edith Munson Foundation, the Ocean Foundation, and the Consortium for Ocean Leadership for helping us make this whole week possible.
And to give you a little background about Sea Youth Rise Up, we selected 7 youth delegates, all under the age of 25, who came to DC, not knowing each other, but now they're like best friends. But we went throughout the whole week. We were here in DC. We went to the Capitol Hill Oceans Week events. They had lots of great panels. We also went to Capitol Hill, and our delegates met with our U.S. representatives and their staffers to talk about ocean legislation and what they're most passionate about. And tomorrow we'll be hosting or taking part in a United by Blue cleanup, and then later tonight we're going to have a social by the sea. Social for the sea.
Social for the sea, yeah.
We're
Looking forward to bringing everyone together. Yes. And we want you to come into this conversation and be part of it as well. So make sure, follow along with us at Sea Youth Rise Up on social media. Join the conversation with hashtag Sea Youth Rise Up. It's great to see the viewers sticking up here, people tuning in live. Welcome from around the country and around the world. And Danny, got another way to get involved as well.
Oh, yeah. So thanks to generous support from Clean Canteen, we have 2 awesome TK-wide brand new bottles from Clean Canteen, reusable bottles, so you can cut out those plastic bottles, get rid of them. And we were gonna give them away today with 2 trivia questions. So the delegates are gonna ask you a question, so be ready in our comment box on YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live, and submit your questions or your answers there when the trivia questions are asked. And also throughout the broadcast, you feel free to ask questions. So we'll field them over to our delegates. So without any further ado, we wanna invite our 7 amazing Sea Youth Rise Up 2019 delegates. Give them a round of applause.
Come on out, guys.
Hi there, my name is Jackie Naval and I'm from Hollywood, Florida. So for your first trivia question of the day, what % of the planet is covered by our oceans? Now feel free to answer in the comment box below.
And this is the bottle that you will get. Clean Canteen's yellow and beautiful. Okay, hi, I'm Akila Van Laura, and I'm going to be starting off this broadcast. And so I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm an environmental justice advocate there. And I think sharing art is the easiest way for young people to get involved in environmental activism and conservation. And you might not think that creating a painting or writing a piece of poetry is doing a lot for the environment, but you're spreading your message, you're empowering your activism, and you're researching and learning more and educating yourself about that activism. And that's actually how I became involved in ocean activism, because Phoenix is landlocked, so it was kind of hard for me to get involved. But after creating a piece of art, that's how I ended up here, and that's why I'm surrounded by all these wonderful people today. And so I thought I'd perform the poem that actually got me here. So it's called Never Forget. The girl with seafoam fingers writes letters on napkins left on beaches like loose change. Words stumbling down staircases of 575 haikus. I want an ocean. The one mama whispers of when she eats, sleeps, prays. She ties them to the webbed foot of a seagull and sends it off to the governor. We are the tide and we are coming. He laughs and the girl watches him corrode. Shoos the seagull away, lulls it to sleep with plastic wrappers and bottles, throws the napkins away to land up exactly where they came from, and dips his pen into the seagull's carcass to sign a bill for a factory to dump their industrial waste into the ocean. The ocean, a man-made trash can. But the girl's eyes are seismic, the world shifts. It's 1972, the year oysters pearl, fish jump, and crabs claw. The girl trades her haikus for ballads, her flat chest for sea cup for fruit cup breasts, their apathy for her unrest. The sailors, they call her a woman. She gargles the sea in her mouth to remember why she's fighting, pulls trash left on beaches and from washed up animal carnage, dumps it on the governor's desk. The tide is here, we are here. Chants reduce, reuse, recycle outside the homes of oil-guzzling men. She leaks into classrooms, salt water ferments the walls. Teaches her children how to protest. The world watches her until its eyes cataract, teeth chip, lips part, and ears burst. And finally, it listens. Births the Marine Mammal Protection Act, MRFs to the Ocean Dumping Act, holds the UN Convention for the Law of the Sea, all promises to defend. She smiles, whistles to the whoosh of the waves, and shows her children how to protest. The fight is far from over. It's 2019, where climate change is an alternative fact. The ocean an afterthought instead of a forethought, but it's still her first thought. Her bones are soft like coral, hair long like coast and gray like gravel. Voice throaty as a frog's. Her battle ending the war still raging. Her children, we revolt when our president pulls out of the Paris Agreement, elects a denialist to run the EPA and cuts its budget by 30%. We community, we young people, we fight. We together grab conch shells and march on. The seas are rising, but so are we. The woman braids kelp through her hair, washes her body with the sea, tells us to never forget, and we say we never will.
So, like I said, I'm Jackie from Hollywood, Florida, and my passion in conservation originated from my environmental management class in high school, and I recently graduated from high school on Monday. So I co-founded Coral Club, which stands for Conserving Our Reefs, Our Artificial Levels in 2016. We're partnered with multiple honorable organizations such as Moat Marine Laboratories, Yolks, and Big Blue and You, as well as the Coral Restoration Foundation. And we're partnered with the Coral Restoration Foundation through a $50,000 Disney Conservation Fund to help restore our coral reefs in South Florida through the use of coral trees in coral nurseries. And it's also to help pay for our members to get scuba certified to work on those trees and maintain the coral nurseries. Now, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was different ways that you can help reduce your own carbon footprint at home. And these are simple, affordable, inexpensive, and accessible ways that everyone can do on a daily basis. So one of the ways is to just reduce your water consumption, such as watering your lawn at night, turning off the tap while brushing your teeth or washing your hair, or other ways such as carpooling more, biking, or just reducing single-use plastics like using a reusable water bottle. And I also just wanted to mention that anything is feasible and accessible as long as you put your mind to it. So just because maybe you're in middle school, elementary school, or even in high school, anything is possible and you have the power to make a difference.
So, hi guys, my name is Rachel. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I've worked at the National Aquarium for 3 years, mainly in education of young people around Baltimore. And so I think that it's really important, and something that I didn't know when I was younger is that our money matters a lot, because it's so important to change our own behavior. But when so much of the pollution and so many of these climate problems are caused by larger corporations, it's important to keep check on them as well. So because of our market, they will follow us depending on what we want to put our money to. And you've seen this in so many different things, like people started calling out McDonald's for all of their pollution and waste of energy. And guess who's dropping energy waste 25% in the next year? And it's not even hard. A really recent beach cleanup system found out that the main plastic polluters are Nestle, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo. So just by using your own network to try and spread a message of our own power, you can make a really big difference. And this can go the other way. As you've probably seen, more clean and sustainable companies are gaining a lot of popularity, especially within clothing and food. And as we put our money into better corporations, we are making a huge difference for the environment. So yeah, use your network, try to make a difference, and vote with your dollars. Thank you so much.
So my name is Brian Ju, and I'm from San Diego, California. And we just had like an amazing couple of days so far. You heard yesterday we were all over Capitol Hill, and we were sharing our passions for the ocean with the offices of federal legislators. And I'm actually in college, but I wanted to kind of speak to you, those of you who are like still in high school or in middle school or even in elementary school. You might be seeing this and hearing about it, and you're thinking, "Wow, I'm really passionate about this too." I want to get to where we are right now. And I want to say that I didn't start here, and none of us started here, right? It all takes like small steps, right? And so maybe, even if you're really shy, at the beginning, of high school, right? Like you couldn't have paid me enough money to go and talk to somebody in a position of power and tell them how passionate I feel about the ocean, right? And what it means to me that we have sustainable fishing regulations, that we combat climate change, that we combat plastic pollution. It's a matter of stepping outside your comfort zone just a little bit at a time. Maybe you are not ready to speak in front of a class or in front of the state legislator or something like that. But maybe you can talk to your friends about it, right? So maybe you find a group of friends that you really that all really care about something, and then you can get together and maybe find a teacher or something like that, or another adult, and start a club. So basically, my advice to you is that maybe you're afraid of looking down or something, or being laughed at, right? And that's a common fear. That's something that we all fear, right? But the thing is that you're not being graded for this. No one's judging you. The only thing that's stopping you is you. All you have to do is take that step. And so I really want to encourage you to just find some way to get outside your comfort zone. Any of the suggestions of my fellow delegates, something that you wouldn't normally do, just go out and do it.
So bouncing off of that a lot, actually. Hi, my name is Grace. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Enumclaw, Washington. I do a lot of volunteering at Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium in Tacoma, Washington, out on the Puget Sound. I've been there for 4 years now. I'm also a sitting member of the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Youth Advisory Council, and I'm the advocacy coordinator for the Youth Ocean Conservation Summit. And so I do a lot of lobbying. I've worked on a couple different environmental bills over in Washington State, up at Olympia, at the Capitol, and I actually testified in front of the Washington State Senate talking about single-use plastic straws. And so when people hear or see that I testified in front of the Senate, they always tell me, "Wow, that's so cool. That's so amazing that you had that opportunity." But anybody can have that opportunity. When I was there testifying, there was a 6-year-old girl talking about plastic straws and how she started a club at her school called Straw Kids, and they went around and picked up trash at recess. And she just decided that she wanted to talk about that because it was something that she was passionate about. And so you can just go to your local government, you can sign up that day and go into a Senate hearing and talk about it. So something that I really like to tell people a lot is that these legislators and these elected officials, essentially they work for us. We employ them, we elect them, and we determine their career. So it's so important and it's so crucial to get involved with your local government. And it's easy and as simple as writing a letter to your legislator, sending an email, giving them a call. You might not talk to them directly, but you talk to their staff and just saying, "Hey, I really care about ocean conservation. Hey, I really care about plastic pollution." That is huge and it makes such a difference. And you don't have to testify in front of the Senate. You don't have to meet with them in person, but sending an email is easy, it's quick, and it's something that everybody can do, but it goes a long ways in the end.
So hi, my name is Apurva. I'm an environmental advocate from New Jersey. And sort of bouncing off of everything that people have been talking about so far, yes, it's really awesome to get involved in conservation efforts and get involved in advocacy. But at the same time, caring about the ocean is really hard. And it's hard because a lot of times as ocean advocates, we are the other group in society. We're the people that everyone looks at and says, "Oh, they're different." But that doesn't have to be the case. If you're able to get more people who are around you, who are passionate about the ocean just like you are, but are maybe scared of the judgment that they feel from their peers, which I think all of us can attest to the fact that we've been made fun of, we've been called various names for simply caring about something so deeply as we do. And so if you can get your friends and other people involved, you'll have their support in this fight. And that means the world, because together we can make conservation cool.
Okay, so my name is Victoria, and I'm from Illinois. I'm involved in a few conservation groups at my school, and I've done an independent study about ecology. So I'm just going to kind of summarize what everyone's been talking about here, but also my main point is that no matter who you are or your background or your age, you matter. Your choices matter, and you can do anything. So to give a little backstory here, when I was applying or signing up for See Youth Rise Up, I was looking at the candidates from past years, and all of them were older than me, and they had started doing environmental things a lot younger than I had. And so I was really intimidated. I was like, oh man, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to be a loser, and everyone's going to be cooler than I am. But I decided to put all of my fears aside and apply anyway. And so now I'm here, and this is probably one of the best experiences of my life, and I have absolutely no regrets. So my main point with that is that even if you think other people are more accomplished than you or they're better than you, maybe they're older, it doesn't matter at all. You matter and your efforts matter. You can get involved and your choices do make a difference. So just to kind of summarize what everyone said, go out and join a club or talk to your legislators, just talking about the environment. It's all so important. And eventually you might look back and say, wow, every little thing I did back then has led me to where I am now. Okay, so now we're going to be having another trivia question for the water bottle.
Okay, so how many straws are used per day in the United States? And please answer in the comments.
And so now we're going to be doing a Q&A session. So go ahead and write into the comments or into the Zoom chat or anything like that. And so we'd love to hear from you.
Got the first couple questions coming in, so take those from our audience.
All right. So this comes from Jonah. And so what would you say to people who don't believe in climate change?
That's a tough one.
I was gonna say I feel like I get that a lot, and I've got that a lot, especially from people in my own family as well. I've gotten huge arguments with climate change doesn't exist, and I think what that comes down to is just the facts. You can't argue with science. People try, but at the end of the day, you can't argue with science. And so when you are talking and you're having these conversations with whether it be people you just met or people you've known your whole life, make sure that you know what you're talking about and you have the science and the data to back it up right there at your fingertips. And that goes for any argument, not just talking about climate change, but if you're talking about something, especially climate change, and you have data to back it up, it's an argument. Otherwise, it's just an opinion. And so those people talking about, oh, climate change doesn't exist, that's an opinion. But if they don't have data to back that up, it's not an argument. That's my advice. I don't know if anybody has anything else to add about that.
To kind of go off of that, I think a lot of times the argument about climate change becomes a question of ethics or morality, when in reality, it's just science. It's hard fact, like you said. And using that, I think, is probably the best tool we have at our disposal to tell people that this is a real problem and it's affecting us right now in real ways. A lot of people also think that it's something way down the road in the future that future generations have to solve. But the fact is, we won't have future generations unless we fix it now.
Right. And another thing is that, when you're talking to someone about climate change, they have to want to be open to new ideas. Someone who's closed off to new ideas is not going to care about what you're saying. So instead of trying to attack people for, their opinions on things, it's more important to encourage them to maybe, you should really consider this. And you don't have to agree, but just understanding that these are facts and that this is the truth.
Yeah, bouncing off of that, I think dialogue is so important, especially in environmental conservation spaces. And another thing I do when I'm confronted with that kind of thing, I try and remind them that I'm not just fighting for my future, I'm fighting for our future. In 11 years, I'm still going to be in my 20s. We're still going to be in your 20s or early 30s. And we shouldn't have our entire lives, our entire futures halted because of climate change. If it's something we can fix right now.
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to a changing of culture, and that is really scary for a lot of people. And so I think for a lot of people, when they come with that argument of, oh, climate change doesn't exist, it's not that they don't believe the science, it's that they're scared to make a change in their lives because it's hard and it's difficult.
So it's your job to help them do that, right? It's about the kind of relationships you forge with them, because when you tell them, right, like the stories, you communicate how urgent it is that you do something about climate change. Then it's going to help change their mind, even if they don't necessarily believe in science, whatever. They'll tell you like, oh, I don't trust the scientists or something, right? But there's still ways to convince people who think that way. We also have another question. So, what are the biggest threats to the ocean?
Wow.
I can
See this whole week.
I can start off with that one. I think one of the biggest threats to the ocean is plastic pollution, single-use plastic pollution. So like we talked about today, I think each one of us touched on it a little bit, is that just using single-use plastics, like using the facial washes with microbeads in them, that hurts the ocean so much because they don't degrade. They go down your drains through the sewage systems out to the ocean, and in turn, like small fish and birds and stuff and whales, they eat that and they ingest it and then it kills them. And so that alters the entire food chain. So on touching on single-use plastics again, plastic forks, knives, culturate, glasses, water bottles, all of that ends up in the ocean eventually, and it doesn't biodegrade, and so it's still there. So every piece of plastic that was ever created on the earth is still here today, and it's probably sitting in one of the 7 ocean gyres right now.
I think this is always a hard question for me, and it's something that people ask me a lot. Oh, what do you think the biggest threat to the ocean is? And I think every single conservation issue is so interconnected, right? So talking about plastic pollution, well, plastic pollution is a cause of climate change because you're burning fossil fuels to produce this plastic. So when you're using plastic, you're also second-handedly contributing to climate change. And then climate change is causing sea level rises, ocean acidification, and plastic pollution and climate change, they affect the ocean in different ways, but at their origin, they're the same. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint one specific issue when they're all so connected.
And I think another thing that sort of overarches over all of this is our consumers' culture, where we just dispose of everything and then we don't really care about the aftermath. So I think that if we want to solve climate change, we have to change our culture and we have to become more conservative in the way we use our resources.
It looks like we got some more questions.
Coming in, yeah. I feel like we're gonna get this one. This is a good question.
Okay.
Sorry, thanks.
So this says, how can people from inland states build awareness of ocean issues? Wow, this is just for me. So I guess I can start it off. So like I mentioned before, I'm from Arizona, and I know there's no ocean that's close by. I've only visited the ocean a couple times in my life. But like I said with my speech, I think art was one of the best ways I connected with the ocean. I know that it can be really easy for people to ignore the ocean and what's going on with the ocean in regards to pollution and climate change, especially when you live so inland and you never have to interact with it or see it on a daily basis. But it's still going to affect us. Where do we get our water from? What happens to those people? Like what happens to the people outside affects us. You know, we have families there, we have friends there. So I think it's really a matter of perspective and leaning into that perspective. And how I did that was through art, but you can do that through research, education. There's so many other avenues you can educate yourself. So that's
I'm also from a state that is not bordering an ocean, and I just want to say that even if it seems like you're so far away from the ocean, everything humanity does has an impact. So I'm from Illinois, and we use a lot of pesticides in corn and stuff. And when that runoff goes into the ocean, it's bad. It kills things. And so just talking to the people around you about how you have an impact on the ocean, even if it doesn't seem like it, can really make them aware.
Got one more question coming in to pass on to you guys. Okay. Let's take that as the last question. Let everyone take one shot at it. I think it's a good one to wrap you guys up with.
That's a good one. So, what is one thing that gives you hope for the future of our blue planet? You want to start off?
I can start it off, because mine's kind of sappy and I should probably get it out of the way. But honestly, interacting with y'all gives me so much hope for the planet. Like, you guys are amazing young leaders, and I know there's so many more like-minded people across the globe. The school strikes for climate, it's everywhere, and it just gives me so much hope for the future.
And bouncing off of that, when I first started, I'm from a really small farm town, right? And conservation is not something that they talk about in that town, and ocean conservation is not something that they talk about ever. And so I feel like I was kind of one of the first people in my high school and in my community that stood up and was like, hey, I care about this issue. And it was really, really frustrating at first. And a lot of people, like especially volunteering, a lot of people were like, oh, I would never volunteer. Like it's ridiculous that they don't pay you and everything. And so it was really frustrating for me. But the more that I've gotten involved, the more incredible like-minded people that I've met, whether it be in my community at Point Defiance Zoo, here at Sea Youth Rise Up, on the Sierra Island Busch Gardens Council. It's just incredible people that I get to interact with every day who have the same vision and have such new and innovative ideas. And seeing young people like Greta Thunberg, who was able to create such a global movement so quickly at such a young age, is so inspiring for me. So I definitely think young people really do have the power and the drive to make a change. And I feel like I see that every day, and that gives me a lot of hope.
And just to bounce off of what Grace just said, especially about Greta Thunberg, her movement is amazing, and it ended up being a global movement. But even just small scale movements at home, such as picking up trash off of your local beaches if you're on the coast or lakes, or just going around and educating the community, maybe like hosting a presentation or hosting a presentation in your classroom. That small scale activities, if everyone does it, or the majority of the population does it, they make a large scale difference. So don't think that you have to go out and make a giant worldwide campaign and lead this whole movement. You don't have to. If you want to, that's amazing, but you can start small and have a big impact.
Also, I just wanted to quickly explain why all of us are snapping. So I come from poetry, and whenever I snap for something, it means I agree with it or I resonate with it heavily. So that's why I've been snapping throughout all of their statements. Just for some context.
It's kind of a non-distracting way of cheering on or applauding something that somebody has said. So to kind of bounce off of everything that people have said so far, seeing young people really involved in conservation is such a great thing, because it means that the next generation, unlike the last one, is really in tune with our environment and that we care about the ocean. And I think to a large extent, it's also very uplifting to see that conservation is becoming cool. This has been a super cool experience. And I think that anyone who's seen our posts on social media or things that we've shared online knows that, wow, conservation is cool. And I think that it's super important to sort of spread that message. And I'm really happy that it's getting spread.
Okay, and so maybe another thing that has sort of inspired me is going to Capitol Hill Ocean Week and seeing all of these people fighting in their own lives for conservation, and then going up there and talking about it, I think is just really inspiring, and it shows that, like, no matter who you are, as long as you're fighting for something, you're making a difference.
And then also, even in my own experience with teaching throughout Baltimore about the environment, I see kids who had never heard of climate change, never really thought about pollution. When they hear about it, they light up and they want to make a difference. I think people are innately curious and want to help and want to make an earth that further generations can thrive in. So if we just spread a message and find interconnectedness within caring for our own planet, people will join on.
And aside from all of the amazing people that inspire me, something that gives me hope, especially, is the success stories we've had. There aren't that many of them, but they are out there, right? Where the Monterey Bay used to be, 100 years ago, used to be really overfished and really polluted, and now you see whales and dolphins there almost every day. And so it really, seeing those small localized success stories really gives me hope that, someday we can fight a planet.
How cool are they? Are they so cool? Oh my gosh.
You're so much
Oh,
cooler.
you guys are so cool. Hi everyone, my name is Bailey Ritter and I am the youth coordinator for the Ocean Project. But I'm so much more than that. I am their biggest fans. I have been so excited to spend and be such a small part of their journey this week, celebrating World Oceans Day, celebrating our global community that cares about our ocean, our beautiful big blue planet. But it doesn't stop today. It doesn't stop after they all go home. And it doesn't stop for you after you stop watching this live broadcast. Tomorrow is World Oceans Day. It's one of the best days to celebrate our connection to our blue planet, no matter where you're from. I'm from Illinois, and Victoria and I both know the importance of celebrating globally, despite if you're 1,000 miles from the ocean or just 2 miles. So I really urge you to go and visit the World Oceans Day website, worldoceansday.org, and find an event near you. Submit your event if you're doing something cool, and join this awesome party for our ocean. I just really want to thank you all so much for tuning in this week via social media, via this live broadcast. You are also a part of their journey, and your support is endless, and we just want to thank you so much. So due to the endless amount of questions and also answers to our trivia, we will come back to you, winners, offline, but don't stop sending in your answers. Please DM us on social media, direct message, not DM, direct message us on social media, or tweet at See Youth Rise Up, and for the chance to still win these awesome bottles right here from Clean Canteen. Yeah. Thank you all so much. Happy World Oceans Day. We'll see you out there.